I think we're live. Hey everyone, how's everyone doing today? Or how's your Tuesdays going? I'm just going to be doing some live testing of the Creality Falcon laser, the 5-watt version. Excuse me. And I decided to come online and do it live. So in my chamber that I have back here, I have various different types of wood. And I'm going to be testing it. And first of all, I have some pieces of 1mm basswood. See how that works out. Then after that's done, I would try some 3mm. I believe it's 3mm. 3mm basswood I will test next. Yeah. So 1mm, 3mm, and then eventually I'll go up to 5mm basswood to see how many passes it can cut. And this is just for cutting. I know it does engraving, and it does engraving fine. Hey, Print Bron, how are you? So I know it works fine for engraving because I did some test engraving. Is this it? I did some test engraving, and it came out really well. It came out fine. So I'm not worried about engraving. I'm more interested about how it do cutting. So what I've done is I've set up a job in LightBurn. Let me make the screen smaller so I can see what I'm doing in LightBurn. Fill half the screen. Hey, Non-Time, how are you? So what I'm doing is I'm doing testing of the Falcon laser from Creality. I decided why not do the test live. So I have a simple job set up in LightBurn, and it's basically I'm going to do a vector cut. One is with multiple designs, which is actually the design of Michigan, right? The outline of Michigan. By Anne, I probably made a mess of that name, but forgive me. So I said I'm going to be testing the Creality laser. I unboxed this later the weekend, and I said I was going to do some live testing. So I'm going to do some testing of cutting with the 5-watt laser. 10-watt actually will be way faster and way easier to do cutting with. So I'm going to do a 1mm test. I'll do a 2mm basswood cut. 1mm should be done in one pass. So 1mm is super thin. It should be cut easily on the laser. The 2mm, I'm guessing 2 passes. I might get it done in 1, maybe. HC, how are you? It's been a while, yeah. Where have you been hiding? I've been online, but you've been hiding. Excuse me, good questions. So, and then I'm going to basically try some 5mm ply. Let's see how it works out. Or not ply, basswood. So I've cut squares of it. The plywood is already, or the 1mm is already in there. The 3 and the 5 are here. Tactile, hey man, how are you? Hey Matt. So I'm going to switch cameras over to the enclosure, okay? So you can see what's going on in the enclosure, because that's what you want to see. You don't want to be looking at me when you can actually watch the laser going to think. So there's a laser head, and this is a piece of 1mm, and what we're going to do is we're going to do a frame. Right, power on the laser. That would actually help if the laser is turned on, guys. It would help a lot. There we go. Yes. Powering on the laser would actually make this stuff actually happen, I guess. So let's do a boom. I think the laser's working. It's running via LightBurn. I did change the data cable. I bought these. I'll show you in a while. JSAUX and data cable, Type C data cables. I use those. I've got 2 in the package. 15 bucks. So we'll do a frame. And the frame is working, so let me just So even I got it working with LightBurn. It's not perfect, but it works. I need to figure out why it's not perfect. We need to need a bit more time on it. But I do have it working with LightBurn. And the data table made a big difference. And one thing I noticed is you can form multiple times. When you form one, it's up in the engagement separate, and it doesn't bounce in separate, even though I changed the settings of dollar 27, and that's normally the bump offset, and it still doesn't bump off, so I have to look at it as well. But I have it working for now, so let's go home, and let's do a file open. We'll open the one I'm going to do, and I'll do a frame again. This is working a while ago. Okay. I have to select the graphic I want first. I have to set cut. So now I have 3 rows. I just good over the material. I'm happy with that. I'm going to home it again. Now so I'm going to turn off the outside square. This is, you'll see what it's doing. It's going to do the midden of Michigan, and it's going to cut a square around it. And they're doing a separate job. So the Michigan setting, the cut of Michigan, when it cuts through 1 millimeter, it is set at 300 speed at 7% power. Okay? We didn't want to actually happen at this part. So we're going to run the job and let's see if next. So let's do a cut of 300, 300 millimeters at 7% power. That should cut through. Now I will say I do have it on a grid. So it's on a honeycomb bed, so the cutting will come through. That's what I want to do. Hey Eric, so I will go over the settings with you in a while. Let me run this cut 1 millimeter basket cut first, and then when that's done, I'll go over the settings and I want the 2 to 5 and the 2 and the 5 millimeter cut as well. So let me run the first cut and see how it goes. 270 dollars. Thinking about it, you should be thinking about it. Why is it thinking about it? It's intermittent, Eric. It's intermittent. So I can restart, yes. Not perfect. I have it working, but it's not perfect. The homes, file, open releasing, and then turn off. Yeah. Power. Okay. Home again. There we go. Start. Oh, why are you not working? You're working very wrong. Really thinking about it. This is weird. Because it was working fine earlier on. I tested it. And I know it's working. Oh, the joys of live streaming. This was working an hour ago. So I made it to the 40. I can phone. Having a great recurring well VSC. I know, I was fine VSC. I got it working with light earlier on, cutting and engraving. And now it's decided not to work. Oh, I know what. I select the graphics immediately. I was set to cut select the graphics and I never cut the select. I never selected the graphics. But, you know, when you mix up idiot groups, you go to the other idiots like me. So it's doing a cut now. Via LightBurn. Yeah, I turned on the option to cut selected graphics in LightBurn, and I forgot to select graphics cut. So it's an I/O problem. It immediately operated. So this is 300 millimeters a minute. Remember, on a diode it's per minute, not per second. A CO2 laser is per second, and a fiber laser would be per second, but you don't use. Generally, you don't use LightBurn for a fiber, but they are working on that. The diode is millimeters per minute. So there with the smoke, there's no flame. I'm going to go over to all my glasses and have a quick look peek. Okay, now I'm going to cut a square around it as well, which I have as a second item. I'm going to put on this square, and I'm going to start and run the square. Again, this is all via LightBurn, and I'll go over the settings with you in a moment, Gary. The nice thing about having to do the cutout with the laser is when you're done and your job is complete, even if the material you're working in is not square, if you cut it square with material like I'm doing right now, you get a nice square finish even though your material is actually tilted or inclined or whatever. Now we'll see if this setting is good. At release 300 should be good enough for 1 minute without much of a problem. When that finishes, we'll give it a few seconds for the smoke to clear. Done. Okay, let's give it a second and let the smoke clear, and then we'll go over and have a look. This is the new Creality Falcon. It's Creality's first standalone desktop laser. It's a 400 by 420 in grading area. It's pretty large. And I unboxed it on my on Twitch and on YouTube. Check out my YouTube channel at youtube.com/Astropreneur. I did a live unboxing and filming of it, and I did not get it working with LightBurn. So I played with it yesterday, and I got it actually more today actually, and I got it working with LightBurn. And now that it's working with LightBurn, the next thing I'm going to we're going to test out this cut. So let's see how it works. I have a chamber. Oh, perfect. You can probably see that on the main screen. So let me come over here and open the quick cameras. We can get able to switch over my camera to this screen. So, one pass, that's a 5-watt laser. Okay? Did a good job. So we have the insert, it's not really nice. And this is 1 millimeter backwood. So you get a nice cut out of that. So now we're going to go over to the next thickness, which is going to take probably 2 passes. I'll do it in one at a time. This is a 3.2 millimeter, it's probably average backwood. We're going to try 3 millimeter backwood. Same position, same cut, same everything. So I have to refocus it. So just give me a second. I will have to let me move that out of the way actually. Because I have to move the head over the material to refocus. Because I did change the material, so I'm going to go to my move, and I'm going to move that. That's roughly where I need it. Let me open this all the way. You can see, well, I'll switch cameras over so you can see what I'm doing. The focus on this is very simple. Let me switch cameras so you can see what I'm doing. I will have to raise my voice for the audio to detect the mic here on this test. I'll switch over so you can see what I'm doing. So, I've moved it out. I'm going to put the piece of material under here, just barely fits, but I'm going to loosen these two screws and raise up. And this little drop down arm on the side here flips down, touches your material, lock these screws, flip it back up again, you're focused. And then I'm going to do a frame. Let me undo that again and go back. Excuse the mess there, guys. I mean, doing some moving around. Let's do a frame. I think I can afford to move it up a fraction. Frame again. Now my guess is this is going to take 2 passes, but we'll do one. Let me close up the chamber. So let's try and do, let's go back and do the Michigan cutout again first. So I go into my custom layers and I turn on the layer I want to work on and turn off the other layer. Okay, and I'm going to do the Michigan one first. And I'm going to do this again at 300 by, and I'm going to up the power from 70 to 90. 390%. And we'll see how this goes. So I will frame again. That looks, everything's over the piece of material. That's perfect. Yeah, I have a 10 watt from that. I have the Congo Z1 10 watt, the 5 watt and the 10 watt head. And the 10 watt is vastly different. You need to be careful because if you try and do certain things in one pass that are kind of thick materials, you might do it, but it might end up setting fire to it as well. So you need to be really careful. I'm keeping the same speed here, but I'm upping the power percentage from 70 to 90% because this is over, this is 3 times the speed. I'm going to do the first graphic and start, and let's see how that goes. I can cut to 5 mil in one pass at about 85. So let's see how this does. What I'm going to do when it's done, I'm going to tape the piece of material down. And by taping it down, then I can check the center to see if the center is adhering or if it's stuck or not. Because if I take it out and put it back again, I'll have lost the alignment. So it's most of the way done. Again at 300, but at 90% power. And this is 3 millimeter. And I will go into 5 millimeter next. Yeah, it looks like it's done. So let me get my some masking tape because I want to see. Let me do this first. I'm going to move my trim tape on the white axis of 50. So I'm just moving the axis out of my way so I can get access to the board. And open up the chamber again. Hi guys. So okay, this is all off because I put laser glasses over the laser, not to protect it, just to kill the glare to hitting the camera. So we'll see. It's almost through in one pass. It needs two. If I went a little slower, it probably would have done it in one. So I'm going to do one more pass. And then one thing I'm going to do is different. I did focus to the top of the material, right? So I'm going to change the focus down a little bit to be a little bit lower, because you should be focusing, you're focusing on laser for cutting, you should be focusing through the material. I focus on the top of the material. So let me go to move here and move the head down to where it's going to be over the material so I can refocus again. And bring it out over here. And I'm going to focus it, but then drop it a fraction more. So this is focus. I'm going to bring it up and I'm going to fractionally drop the height of the laser, because I want to cut in the middle of the material I'm aiming at. So that's done. Now, if I did that in the first place, I could have probably done it in one pass. So I'm going to go home. If I actually set the focus point halfway through the material rather than the surface of the material, which I did, I probably have done it in one pass. So I'm going to do another pass, same setting, same piece. I'm going to hit start. And it's not going as one. I did 300. Okay, again, LightBurn is easing up a little bit on this. So let me okay, I'm going to restart LightBurn. Just running it. Give me a second there. So 300 at 90 is what I was doing. This should be in the same spot. You go back into my cutting there. It's 390. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a second pass on the inside, and then on the outside one, we're going to do one pass to see the cut through, because it dropped the focal point to be the lower inside the material rather than the surface. You may have run slower, but at 300 it can be really close. So I'm going to do a second pass, and then I'm going to do the outer pass, the square, with the focal point in the middle of the material. So that means it should burn better down through the material. So let's run the first one again. We'll run through the mixing outline again. Let's start. And, I clicked the wrong way. My bad. Okay, start. Oh, come on. I selected the graphic system, I promise. It's not perfect. I have it somewhat working, but it's not perfect. I'm relaunching the LightBurn again. So on count 5, I take the only two homes, import the project, usually oh, come on now. What's going on now? Again, it's off. I didn't select. I did that one. So, I don't know. I got it working, but it's inconsistent, and I don't know why it's inconsistent. Let me restart the laser. It's not the laser's fault. It's they never provided I think they're using a weird version of Marlin, or a weird version of so I think they're using a strange version or a custom version of either Marlin or I'll go over the settings that I had working in a while. But yeah, it's kind of annoying. It's not. I don't think there's a problem. I think they didn't give the profile, and normally I don't need a profile, but apparently with this I do. Um, you reopen that project again. Sorry, I have to go back and reset these again. Setting the speed and the power again. I don't want that on. The homes, and it's still not starting. I wonder if they're using. I don't know if they're using. I don't think it's fluid. Let me set the devices up and let me look at what I set it up. I have it working with Gerbil STM, so I think it's an STM card, an STM chip on the board, and that's what I got it working with, where it would respond to moves. Let me go through this next. Okay. There we go. So I went through the setup again and I just did okay. And that's it. We established the decision. So yeah, I'm using the TM version of Dodo, which is what and I tried smoothly wear a few of the others, and it didn't work. They partially worked. So this, I probably lost alignment a little bit, so it's recutting again. And that's okay, let it run. Hey Chris, how are you? ESP32. Yeah, I cleaned it. I always take mine apart as well too, don't worry. How's that, Chris? Going to come in and the people want to come in and hang out. I was just testing some lasers. If people want to come in and join in, you're welcome to come in and join the chat. Let me get the comments here. Let me go back and go to copy the link here and I'll share it out. If someone wants to join in the conversation, you're welcome. There it is. So since that's the inside one done now at the different focus, so we're going to turn on the outside wall and see how far we get with a single pass on the outside. Again at 392 power. So select the outside with the star and cut the outside square. So I'm repeating each time the same job for the different materials. Or different thickness materials. And remember again, this is basswood. Basswood is a very soft material. But by staying consistent, I couldn't get thin enough plywood. By staying consistent in the basswood, I get consistent. Let's set it up. So if you want to come in and join, in the chat, you can mute tab in your Twitch, and then click on that link, and then you can come in and join me on the screen if you want to. So that's cutting away nicely, it seems. And I see light coming through underneath. So I do think it's getting through. You may not be, give it a second for the smoke to clear out a bit. Because there is smoke generating this up. While we're waiting, we'll go back to the camera over. So I redid it. Now I think the alignment is small bit off when I reach, reach the good put it back down again. So, but hopefully it cut through, that, and then I did a single pass of those settings around the outside to get the same as what I have here. So, Chris, if you didn't see this, I don't think you did. This is basswood, and I laser cut. This is the part, and I laser cut it. This is 1mm thick with a 5-watt laser. So I'm trying now to see, I've upped the settings, and I'm trying it on a 3mm piece of wood, see if any patches they can cut through. And it looks like I might have got it in one. Two for the inside, but because I didn't. Okay. So it didn't go all the way through. There's the front. And the center part fitted in two passes, so I just popped that out with a little bit of coating. It wasn't perfectly aligned, but I did pop it out. So I put it with the right focus on it, which I didn't do the first time. We would do it in one pass, maybe two passes, maybe two passes. Hey Chris, thank you for the subscription, man. Thank you so much. So it got most of the way through. If you look here, it got most of the way through in one pass. So it's two passes what I need for 3mm. I could always just throw this back in. Let me do that. Let me put this back in there and do two passes on the outside. Maybe not. It probably won't fit much of it, but don't worry about it. We go into the thicker material. So I'm guessing thicker material is 3. And there was 3 or 4 passes. Again, this is 4.7mm, 4.8, 4.7. So it's 5mm. Sorry, that's what. We'll try this. I'm guessing this will be 3 or 4 passes. Once again, I have to focus it. So let me raise my laser up. And I'll jog it out to where I need it to focus it. Center of the material. There we go. And I'm going to focus it for the top of the material using the little drop down arm. And then slip that up and then drop it even more. Now I'm going to do a frame to make sure I don't impact this. Move it up a little bit. Try framing that again. Okay, that looks good. I'm guessing this will be 3 or 4 passes. And I'm at 90% power, so I'm going to bump the power to this to 100%. On the computer, I sound like I'm underwater. Let me check my microphone because it should be using the microphone right here. Audio. Oh, no wonder. It's using the wrong mic. I'm sorry, guys. Why is my microphone actually? Give me a second. 1 second, guys. Interesting. There we go. Is that better? For some reason, my microphone powered itself off. There is a mic in here in the web camera that's in there, but and normally when I switch over, I normally don't change that. So I'm sorry about that, guys. You should. Okay, thank you for letting me know, Chris. So I'm going to do the same settings. I'm going to change the settings, and I'm going to change it to 100% power. And I'm going to turn around and drop this. I'm going to drop the speed to 200. Maybe that'll be too much. Let's try it. It may burn something. So 100% power at 200. That's pretty slow. So let me turn on the other graphics. Yeah, so but it's fine over here now, right? Hey Jerry, how was life? So yeah, the mic by the laser I generally don't use, but I didn't realize it was on the wrong mic. I'm sorry. Okay, good. So let's do one more frame. And I'm going to change camera over to the camera over there. It will not change the mic. So you can still hear me nice and clear, guys. And so let's give this, we're going to do individual passes, but I'm guessing it's going to take 3 or 4. Actually, before I even start, I'm going to tape this into place. I'm going to put my masking tape. One moment, guys. One time you don't want masking tape to tear, it's exactly when it does. Okay. Just want to make sure it doesn't move. My X-Tool D1 just showed up a bit ago. Nice, Jerry. Very nice. So let's send this out to cut at 200 millimeters at a power of 100% power. And I've set the focal point down into the material. So, but I'm still guessing it's going to take 3. I'm going to try 3 passes. Is what my guess is what it's going to take, because that's 5 millimeter. So let's start with pass 1 and let's hope for there's no fires. Everything's ready. Hey Kieran, how's life? Let's start. I think we're ready to go. So that's going really slow. So that may create a bit of a flame. So I have to watch this closely. So far, no flames. Because it's moving slower, though, it will char a lot more. And the way to get around the char on the material, which is, this is a test, so I don't care. But normally what you could do is you could get blue masking tape, blue painter's tape, not the plasticky one, the proper painter's tape that's paper-based, a painter's tape that's paper-based, and cover your material with it. You could use masking tape, but it's not great. But hey, Loyal, how are you? Did I just get... No, did I? Let me see. Let me check. I'm in the wrong screen. So we're doing some burning, Loyal. This is the Creality laser. It's a new Creality laser. I have it in I have a chamber in my room here that like a printer enclosure that I keep the laser in. And I'm going to run this job 3 times because this is 5mm. I don't think it'll do it anything less than three times. And it's at 200mm a second or a minute at 100% power. It's a 5-watt laser. So let's run it again. I'll keep that on screen rather than having me up on screen. That's more interesting than seeing my ugly face. So tonight it seems pretty clean so far. And we have no flames. Lots of smoke, but no flames. Hey, Dum Dum, how are you? I'm doing good, sir. Trying to keep out of trouble. Not succeeding, but trying. So there is more charring on the edge because it is a second pass. You want some flames? Well, maybe we'll start some flames in a while. We'll turn it on to maybe 50mm and see how it does. But this is most of the way around. Let's see what's going on here. I have to flick over and back between Twitch screens and so on, because I'm using StreamYard for the chat. It's easier because I'm streaming on multiple. I'm streaming out to multiple locations. Okay, that's 2 passes. Yeah, there's a laser coming with a shield around the head. No, the shield, the red shield comes with as part of the laser. Now, doesn't mean you don't wear glasses though. It just means it helps with it, but it doesn't prevent you needing safety glasses. So let me see if this cut through after 2 passes before we go off and do the third. I'm going to use a bit of masking tape to see if I can lift it. Not quite. We'll do a third pass. Oh, Jerry, thank you for the sub. Thank you so much for the renewal. Hey, Bionic, how are you? So I'm just going to run that code again. Same settings, not changing anything. Same speed, same settings. It is going to char a lot more because of the multiple passes. But normally, if I want to do cutting, I would do it in the CO2 laser because the CO2 laser would cut this like butter. Like a hot knife through butter, actually. So, Jerry, thank you for all the shout outs. Make sure you do shout out for Loyal. He's there. So it looks good. Liam and Jerry. Saturday, if I'm not at the museum, because I'm doing Saturday evening, I should be home because Saturday I am presenting at the Henry Ford Museum. They have a NASA event going on there, and I'm going down there to do some talks for NASA. So if I'm home, I'll swing by. Sorry. I have to keep up my NASA stuff. I want to keep my credentials with them. They have a big Apollo display going on at the museum, and I've been going down for the last few weekends doing talks. And this coming weekend is the second last weekend, and then next weekend will be even crazier because it's the closing weekend. So I'm there both Saturday and Sunday at the museum. So we'll try and lift it now that the pass is done. I don't think it's through yet. I don't think so. Let's try. Almost. One more pass to do it. If I can get it back in the same spot, that's the trick. Let's hope that's close enough. We'll do one more pass. And doing passes around curves is really tricky. Oh, you'll be live for 8 hours, then probably, yeah. Cool. Yeah, sure. I'll. What time do you start, Loyal? Again, what time are you starting Saturday? 1 p.m. Pacific. That's for. I may. Let's see. 10 a.m. Pacific. Well, I won't be there for that because I'll be in the museum at that time. But I'll. As soon as I get home, I'll try and jump in. Loyal, long time. Okay, we'll try one more. So 10 a.m. Pacific. Yeah, I'll be in the museum at that hour for sure. But I'll. But when I do get home, I'll pop in. I'll definitely drop in and say hi. Yeah, so I'll drop in when I get home because I finished there. I'm on East Coast, so I'll finish there about 3 in the afternoon. Leave, get a bit packed up by 4. Be home by 5 p.m. my time Eastern. We get a bit of a flame building. I have to watch this closely now because it's passed a few. It made a few passes. It can build up a bit of a flame. I may not have been perfectly lined up, but I was close. I think it's close enough to make it pop out, though. Now, also, it's important to know that when you're making curves and when the laser is cutting, not in straight lines but in jagged lines, like it will be on this, it's harder to get a clean cut. When you're cutting in straight lines, it's way easier to get a good clean cut. So I'll do one last test to see if this will pop out, and if it doesn't, I'll leave it. I'll do the square cut with 3 passes. We'll try pop it out one more time. No, I think it's probably there. It's probably just jammed a little bit. So I'm going to leave it, and I'm going to do the outside passes. And I'm going to do I'll do 3 outside passes for the outside square. And I'll just select that to be cut. And we'll leave the same settings. Oh, I have to turn on this show. It's very close to being through. Yes, it is. It's very, 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 very close. So I'm going to see. Now, this is a straight line cut. Straight line cuts are often, they cut deeper and easier. All these jagged movements are actually harder to get a really clean cut on it. On any laser. Hey, Slim Pickens, how are you? I've been lurking, but the middle of the poker game. Oh, you're in the middle of a poker game? I hope you win. Never much of a gambler myself, but hey, Bionic. So I'm going to do 3 passes with this. We see how good it looks. Again, this is the Creality Falcon laser, which is a 400 by 420. I did the unboxing the weekend, and this is me just doing some gathering some doing some cut testing to see how it comes out. You're not good. Oh, that's. Oh, you're not good at. Oh, you're not good at poker. Oh, okay. Well, can't help you with that, man. Can't help you with that. Never developed a taste for gambling. The most I ever gambled was $5. Once when I was in Vegas, it was on the day I was leaving. I was heading to the airport, and they said, "Why not try?" And I won nothing, so that was it. So I'm going to leave the camera on this instead of flipping over onto me. There's no point. This is what we want to see, right? Now, there is good and bad with the shield that's around the laser. The good is it does give some protection, but you still have to wear your glasses. The downside is you can only drop the laser so much before the shield gets in your way. So if you're trying to do thicker material with lots of passes, like this was 5 millimeters, you probably don't have the clearance to drop the laser low enough after 1 or 2 passes to get more cut. No, it wasn't in the airport, actually. It was actually in the hotel, in the casino. But I was passing through on my way out the door. So this is pass number 2. There is light coming out from under the laser, so it looks like there is some, it is getting through in some areas. And that bottom line is really close to the edge. It's only barely shaving off the edge is all it's doing. And that's okay. So I'm going to give this another pass. That'll be pass number 3. Give it a few seconds for the laser to cool off a little bit. Hit go. Now, as you do multiple passes, as I said, more and more charcoal builds up because you're burning the material, more of the carbonation. And that carbon can catch fire, so you need to watch it when it's doing this. An air assist would really help you. Now, this laser does have a fan on the back, and it actually pulls the fumes away from the laser head, the smoke and so on, but it doesn't really filter out anything. Even though there's a filter in there, the filter doesn't really block much. It doesn't block smoke or anything. I don't know if it's that big of a selling point. It's a nice idea. If it really blocks smoke, but the filters are not fine enough to do that. You need a HIP filter in there to be able to do something along those lines, and they have an active carbon. It's probably mostly going to drop and block any particles that come up off the material. So I might actually do a 4th pass with this, just to see if that was the one, because 3 didn't work on the cutout of Michigan, but 4 might, but it was very close. So 4 may actually do it. So I might give a 4th pass on the outside. So that's pass number 3. We'll do one more run at 100%, and let's see how it goes. Kick it off now. I'm doing them. I can set it in the software to do them multiples at a time, but I'm actually doing them individually. Let me show you what I'm doing here. I can do a share. Let me bring this down to the screen. It might be better. This one. So this is a square I'm cutting right now. I'm cutting around right now. I have 2 paths. One is set as a square, and the other one, which is the Michigan logo, I can turn it on there. You can see it, but I have it hidden. So this is the 4th pass, Eric, around the outside of the 5 millimeter. I did drop my focus point to below the material. I only did 3 passes on the Michigan logo, but 4 on the outside. So we're going to see any moment now when this finishes. Let me stop the sharing, which is very close to now. I'm going to see how well it did. I think it'll be very close, but let's see. Okay, it's done. Pretty much just about done now. Let me change cameras over. That finish its pass. Okay. All right, just give it a second to clear out some of that smoke. Now I'll go open the chamber and take it out. Let me change cameras over. So, the smoke is mostly cleared. Okay, I'll close that because there's still a strong smell in there. I'll wait for the. I have an extractor fan in that enclosure, so it actually draws the smoke out. So 5 millimeter. Take off this tape. 5 millimeter. It came very close on the. With 3 passes, it came very close on the Michigan logo, but not quite. It didn't quite get there. But with 4 passes, cut this out nice. Now this was on the very edge, so there's probably dissipation of the laser beam along the edge because I didn't cut it into the material. So it cut the outside fine. Let's see if I can. I can't push it out. It needs one more pass. It does need. It needs 4 passes on 5 millimeter. Well, and this is basswood, so can it do it? Yes, it can do it. So since I engraved this, so I've engraved my first pass of the logo of this logo was here, and this is on plywood, and it did nice. So I upped it. I did a slower, higher power, and it came out a little bit deeper, and it did a decent job. So I don't have any plywood with me, so all I got was basswood. So we can cut 5 millimeter basswood with 4 passes, as long as you change your focal point. You don't focus to the top of the material. You drop the focus to about halfway through the material, and then you do your passes, because your focal point is where the energy is going to be concentrated, and you need to move it down. If you do it only on the surface, it'll burn through so far, and then by the time it gets maybe 2 millimeters in or so, the laser's energy will have dissipated, because a laser comes in as a beam and then widens out again, and then as it gets wider, you get less concentration of the photons. So so it does fine. Who wants to see it do? Let me do this one. Actually, I engraved this. Everybody brings happiness into this room. Some by entering, some by leaving. True statement in every situation. So let me see if we can. How many passes it'll take to cut through plywood? What do you think, guys? I'll put in a bit of this. This is 2 millimeter ply, and I'm going to cut the same logo out now. What do you think? Shall we do it? Yes? No? Maybe? No answer? Okay. Well, you know what? I'm going to do it anyway. So let me put it in here, and I'm going to refocus my laser again. Now this has to be taped down because it's so thin it warps. So I have to tape it into position. Pull that corner down. Make sure nothing's impeding the laser movement. So let me do a frame. Make sure nothing's impeding before I focus. Actually, no, let me move the laser up. To move. And jog it outwards. Now, I'm going to do a frame to make sure it doesn't impact anything, because I have little clips around the edges there. I think we're good, except this corner keeps standing up. Let me put a bit more tape on that side. Because the ply is so thin, it warps really easy. And basswood does the same. Basswood has to be stored, especially the really thin stuff, has to be stored flat with weight on top of it. Otherwise, it will go from being nice and flat like this to being like this. You don't want that happening. Well, if you, the problem about slowing it down would have worked, but there's good and bad in slowing it down. Slowing it down would probably cut it faster, but the issue with it is, excuse me for a second, guys. The issue with it, allergy season, is if you spend too much time in one spot, you're going to burn the material, and that's all you're going to do is burn. So, let's give this a try. I'm going to do the logo for the Michigan logo first. So let me go over here, turn on. I'm going to keep the same settings as I did last time, and I'm going to select the Michigan logo and 200 at 100%, and hit. And this is 2mm plywood. Hit start. Let me switch cameras over so you can see what's going on. There you go. Seems to be doing a decent job. Now, I will say, they do say in their, and this course the bottom of burned into the melamine board. Yeah, see, I have a honeycomb bed that I put mine on when I'm doing cutting, because you want an air gap underneath it, because you want the fumes to be drawn away from it when it's on. And my honeycomb bed is raised about 15mm off the base, so there's actually airspace underneath as well. Yeah, do not cut melamine. That the fumes of melamine on a laser, that will make you sick, very sick. Same as never cut vinyl on a laser. That releases chlorine gas that will destroy your lungs and your laser. That's why I do all my stuff like this in a chamber that has a fume extractor on it. Let's see if one pass cut that. I'm guessing it might, but it's hard to tell with plywood. Because the grain in plywood goes two directions. Look at that. One pass, 2mm ply. So let's do the outer wall again, like we did a while ago. And we're going to do the outside, the square again in the outside. And we're going to cut that out and see how it does. Let's run it. Same settings as last time. 200mm at 100% power. So this is just going to cut a box around it, like I did last time. The last time the box came out because I did 4 passes, but this is doing really well in one. So 5mm you need. So for 1 and 2mm basswood, you can do it in, and even 1 or even 2mm plywood. So 1mm basswood and 2mm plywood, and I'm sure 2mm basswood would be the same. You can do it in one pass at a speed of 200 and setting of 90, but you can go up to 100 to make it a bit faster and probably cut deeper. And then the 3mm takes 2 passes, and then the 5mm takes 4 passes. So we cut the outside of that, and it's really clean actually at the fourth pass. I'm pity I didn't do the Michigan logo itself the 4th time. I actually stopped at 3. If I did it 4, it would have come out really clean. So we'll have a look at our results. Well, okay, that's done. Okay, let's go back to that and have a look. Just give me 1 second, guys. I'm just tidying up that the 3mm piece. Perfect. So let's change cameras over. Settings, go over here. So 3mm or 2mm plywood from here to this. Came out really nice. It cuts very clean. So 2mm ply, 1 and 2mm basswood would do it in one pass. The thicker 4mm, or sorry, the 3mm took, if I remember, it was 2 passes, I think it was. Yeah, you have to be careful with acrylic. So it did come out. It wasn't as clean, but it did come out. I could pop it out afterwards, after 2 passes. So I should have done 3 on this. And the 5mm takes 4 passes. And I only did 3 here, so it wasn't deep enough. It came most of the way through, but didn't do it all. But the outer wall was actually 4 passes, and it came out super clean. And then we just did the plywood just now, which is 2mm ply, and that came out really nice. Nice clean edges on it too. So you said you tried acrylic. Okay, acrylics, you'll need to have colored acrylics first of all. Will you cut them? Yeah, maybe not. And it depends on the acrylic as well. So if you use acrylic that is extruded, which a lot of acrylics are, there's stresses in the material, and all it will do is heat fracture, and that heat fracture is called crazing, right? Because you get crazy little heat fracture lines. If you want to do any engraving, even on my CO2 laser, if I want to engrave, I have to use poured acrylic or cast acrylic. No, clear and wet paper towels will not work. You need to add, where do I have it? Where is my, it's over here, 1 second. To do even engraving on the surface, you need to use tempera paint. You can buy this prang tempera paint in a dollar store. Well, it's $1.25 now, everything is. So in a $1.25 store, you can buy black tempera paint, and what you do is you get a nice even coat on it. Let one coat, you get in both directions, get a nice even coat, let it fully dry, and then engrave it. And you'll be able to engrave the surface of it, but you will not be able to cut it. Colored acrylic, you can probably cut if it is a dark color, like a yellow, you won't, a white, you won't. But if you do like a purple or a black or whatever, chances are you will engrave deeper in it, but you may get away with cutting them. 5-watt possibly, if it's really thin, 2 or 3 millimeters thick. And 10-watt would probably cut the acrylic. But I do, for me, the reason why it's a problem is the blue diode lasers are transmitting, the light that comes out of it is 450 or 455 nanometers, right? And that's in the visible spectrum. So 300 to 700 nanometers in the electromagnetic spectrum is where visual range is. And yeah, come on, say it. How did you know that? Okay. So I'm that much of a nerd. But between 300 and 700 is the visible range. And then when you go below that, you go into the low infrared and so on. And that doesn't have a lot of energy. And then when you go above that, you get into the ultraviolets, right? And so on. So the a CO2 laser is 10,500 nanometers, which is way up there in a very high ultraviolet frequency range, which is why it can interact and ablate material even though it's transparent because of its frequencies being so high. Whereas the reason why you see through glass and so on is because the light spectrum that passes through glass does not interact with the glass. Oh, you get a great light show. Make sure you're wearing your glasses if you're doing a light show, though. because even though if you want to wear your glasses, even then. You know, see, I'd use this chamber, and this chamber has a fan duct in the back that goes out the window, and I have an inline fan that draws away the fumes, so I can use it in the house. I just tried to update the nozzles for the RSD Pro in a full metal version. I would not use, in all fairness, I wouldn't use, I don't get clogs in my RSD. PTFE, I know people will say all metal, all metal. PTFE is better for PLA because of the low temperature. The problem with PLA and an all metal hot end is the heat throat can actually carry more heat and transfer more heat. And because it gets warm, because it gets that warm, and the low temperature of PLA, it tends to stick to it. So the PTFE lining prevents it from sticking. Now, if you're doing PETG or ABS or higher temperatures, then an all metal is fine because it has to reach a much higher temperature before the material will stick to the heat break. But yeah, you're better off with a PTFE lined hot end for doing PLA. Actually, up at one point, adding PTFE to your hot end was an upgrade from an all metal because PLA used to melt at such low temperatures. You won't get better flow in an all metal. Yeah, that's not an easy one, Sebastian. But so we can get nice good cuts out of this. The laser does cut, and we have multiple instances of proof of it cutting and cutting really clean. Here and here. So it's actually quite good. I don't normally cut, as I said, with a diode laser. Normally when I'm doing, let me show you the detail of this. Let me come close to you and show you how detailed this is. You see those little wispy parts at the back? Right in here. You see them? It's really detailed. You can probably see them a little bit better here, the little parts hanging down. I have another 5 watt. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have a couple of 5 watt lasers. To say one is better than the other, that's kind of hard because they're all the same output, right? And they all output a range between 4.5 and 5.5 watts. So a single 5 watt diode can output in a range. It doesn't precisely, you always get exactly 5. It's always a little bit over. There's a leniency above, a little bit of play between 4.5 and 5.5 watts. A 7 watt laser will do between 6.5 up to 7.5. A 10 watt laser is actually 2 5 watt diodes that are firing at the same time, and it's all about the output light, right? So the light is then brought through prisms and concentrated into a single beam, gives you 10 watt. And the same for the 14 watt lasers. They're 2 7 watt diodes because the 7 watts is or 7.5 watts is the highest output you can get for a diode laser, for the blue diode lasers. So, and that's how they work on the inside, right? So there's either one or multiple diodes in there to generate the higher output, but they're all roughly the same. So saying one's better over the other is hard. I like the structure and the build of the Creality machine. Its price range would be in the same price range as the Artour, so they'd be close on par. The Artour has a few options that the Creality does not have. I'm not saying the Creality is a bad machine; it's not. Hey Milan, or Milan, but the Creality machines are nice. I just do cutting, and I normally don't do cutting with a diode. The Artour machine has a flame sensor. It has a couple of other things in there to watch for caution. It's got a kill button. It has you can get the option of a Z adjuster where you can you turn a dial and you raise and lower the Z rather than having to do 2 screws on the side, which is really nice. And Creality could always come up with an add-on for that to do the Z adjuster. It's not a hard one to do. The Congro Z1 is similar. It is a cost less, but the output is pretty much the same. Now, Creality have said they have done improvements on the beam, and to be able to cut 5 mm ply with 4 passes, that's pretty good. And the edge is not really tapered, so they have done a lot of good work. Because normally you'd have a little bit of a beam of a like a shape on the material cutting, and that doesn't have it at 5 mm. So I would say there's more and more concentration going into then upping the power. There's more and more concentration going into dialing in the beam to get it more and more focused. Because the smaller the beam is, we're basically taking light from the diodes and you're concentrating that light down into a small point. And Creality says their beam is 0.1 of a millimeter, which is pretty small, right? So they did not, Sebastian. No. I'll give them a few days. I'll reach out to them again, but they did not. So would I say one's better than the other? I like you. They're all good. I would say I like them all. I like the R-Tour is a good machine. I like the new Creality. I like the Focus. It's a good laser as well. It's a 5-watt laser. It depends on what you want to do. Some of them have options. The Congro, and I'm sure the Creality, it's the same setup. You can add a rotary device, which is easy enough to add. I do like the Z adjuster, where you can actually turn it. I can show it to you if you want. It's hanging up here. I'm not advertising a product, guys. I'm just showing you. On this machine, you can adjust Z by just turning this dial. That will move your laser up and down. If you look here, you see the laser moving. So, and it has a drag chain as well, this is always the bothersome cable. So it has a lot of nice, and they are coming out with newer versions. They're coming out with I believe they're planning 10-watt in the future, which they have, but they have others. They have other print heads or laser heads that can go on that. Some of them actually have air assist built in. You just have to put the hose into it. It comes with the hose and all. So the person who is in charge of, well, I don't know who that is. If you want to message me directly, Sebastian, and let me know who that is, and maybe I can reach directly out to them. I have this and the Yarrow home, and I feel this is leaps and bounds better. Yeah, I like it, and I like the overall structure of it. It's an easy build. There's no messing around with it. I like the overall build. Let me show you. I'll take it out of here. I'll shut it down. So, yeah, there's me pulling the house down. So I like the overall structure of it. It's all metal frame. Even the legs are metal. There's no real. I had to adjust the offset of the concentric nuts, but that's normal. I'm already a concentric nut, so it doesn't make a difference. But the assembly was easy. Instructions were. You didn't really need instructions to assemble it, but there was instructions there. The cables are nice and tidy and already put in place to be tidy, which is good. They do have options where you can. There's little screw holes here, up in here. I'll find it. It's in here somewhere. There's screw holes here where you can buy round legs that you can screw together to vary the height, and you can actually put them on here to raise the whole thing higher. So if you're using a rotary device, you can actually raise it higher, and it just stands above the table higher. They don't have. Well, they have a board, but I don't know what it's made out of. I like the honeycomb bed for cutting, especially. These are available out there for free. These are this is a Congro honeycomb bed. It's all metal, but these are little stands that you can clip on that actually raise your honeycomb bed high enough off the table so there's There's air circulation underneath it when you're doing cutting. If there's a cellulose, okay, I don't have that. I prefer the honeycomb bed because the honeycomb bed is great for cutting. You have, and with these legs, and they're free, by the way. You can get them online. They're on my in my Thangs. Some stuff out there on Thangs, but these you can get these. They clip on. They raise the honeycomb off the surface, and then you cut away, and you have airflow, and you can cut all the way through, and you're not building up the fumes and so on underneath the part that you're cutting, because it can actually leave when it's cutting. It can actually be carried away by airflow. So I like this, and I recommend, if you're going to be doing cutting, I recommend you go with a honeycomb bed. I don't know about the cellulose one. I haven't tried their cellulose. I didn't get one of those in the kit they sent to me, but it's a nice machine. It cuts really nice, as you see. You see that it does a good job of cutting and tonight, and you saw it live, right? So we did it together. Apparently, you chatted with the person today or yesterday, but you asked her about the price. I did. Okay, let me know who that person is, Sebastian. So, like, this is 1 millimeter, and it cuts so clean. I mean, that's perfect. This is 2 millimeter. Again, really nice clean cut. Sue, okay, I'll reach out to Sue. And this is the 3 millimeter. With a fourth pass, it would have come out nice. I didn't do 4 passes. Or 3 passes. I only did 2 and 1, and then I just didn't do enough passes. And then this is the 5 millimeter. With 4 passes on the outside, it cut through. But I only did 3 passes here, and that was a mistake. But it's all about testing and learning, right? So you get scrap material of the material you're actually going to be using. So if you're using basswood, if you're using plywood or whatever, have some of that. Make sure it's dry. Make sure it's flat. And then do testing on a piece to get the settings that you want right. Obviously, watching it, make sure you don't make set anything on fire. One good thing to have, I have 2 fire extinguishers in this room. One is right here, and actually I have one over there. So in case I come down the stairs and I can't get over here, or something goes awry, hopefully never ever happens. But I have fire extinguishers in this room. And but what some people do is you get a spray bottle with water, a little spray bottle. And if you're doing something and you see a bit of a flame coming up, spray it with a spray bottle. Cover the laser, dock the laser with your hand, and quick spray in the material. That'll quench it instantly. Or pause the job or stop the job and spray it. Just quick spray, the flame will go, because the flames are mostly sustained by the beam. So she will. Okay, thank you, Sebastian. Maybe she did already, because I turned my phone and my watch buzzing. So anyone have any questions? Can it cut? Yes, it can. 1 millimeter, 3 millimeter, 5 millimeter, 2 millimeter ply, basswood up to 5 millimeter after 4 passes. It does. And it does engraving, because I've where's my engraving part again? Here. We all need, see, coffee. That's the engraving I did live on stream. So it came out fine. I did this earlier on. I was trying to do the logo for Ireland, and it went most of the way through, and I could have just pushed it to pop it out. I could have probably just pushed these to pop up, but I could have done a little bit slower maybe. But I did cut the outside nice and clean. I just reorientated it as a test, but that was cut really clean. So yeah, I'm sure I could pop that if I really wanted to. Anyone have any questions about it? So it's a good laser, and that's the 5 watt. So imagine what the 10 watt version of it is going to do when it comes out. Now, as I said, its price range it's in the higher end price range for something of that size. It puts it in the price range of the R2. Is the way I see it. The 5 watt is 3. Let me just double check that actually. Creality Falcon. Let me see. I want to go to their website and just verify. So the 5-watt version is $349, and they don't have. Why don't they have the 10-watt up there? Let me see this. That's weird. They don't have the 10-watt. Okay, because I went to the wrong place. So $349 for the 5-watt, and $429 for the 10-watt. So it does put in the higher range, but it works, and it does a good job. I'll be doing more testing, but and I'm going to use some of this clipping, some of this video. I will be doing a review of this machine, so I'll be using some of this video, but it came out really clean. Anyone have any comments or questions or anything they want to ask about it? Or anything to do with lasers or printers or anything at all? I'm happy to chime in. I'll do more testing, and actually, I'm going to use this. I have an idea. I have a large piece of basswood, but it's actually a live edge cutting through a cross section through the trunk. And I'm planning on. I need to cut out a little bit on the back of it to embed, but I'm going to do a clock. And I'm going to engrave a clock face. Let me get the basswood and I'll show you what it looks like. So, got this over at Hobby Lobby. Comes exactly like that. It's live edge. Hey Ben, how are you? I'm good. Thank you for asking. So I'm going to do this, and what I'm planning to do is these will be the hands. They might be a little bit on the big side actually. No, they'll just fit. But I'm going to I haven't designed it yet, but I'm going to laser engrave a clock face on here. And then I'll mark the center, obviously, so I can know where to drill to mount the unit here. And then in the back of it, because of the length of the shaft of this, I need a little bit more. It's not that the shaft on this clock center spindle is not long enough. So I'm actually going to use then one of my CNC machines to actually cut out an area at the back here, nice and clean, so this will seat inside, and I'll be able to bolt it on the front and actually have my clock on this nice piece of basswood. So that'll make that's going to make a nice little project. Once I have, I'll do some of this live. Some of my evenings during the week, I'll do pieces of it live. But it'll be a nice little project, and it'll look really good, I think. What do you guys think? Do you think that'll make a nice clock? Because it's a white colored wood, I got the hands in black. I don't think I could have got gold colored hands and so on. I don't think it would look as good. And they're plain, but they're ornate. So, and I'll actually engrave the numbers. I'll actually laser engrave the numbers over it. And when it's done, before I put all the electronics on it, I will actually I'll spray paint it. Hey, The Apprentice, how are you? I'll clear coat it, front and back. I'll fully seal it. I'll clear coat it, which will actually make like the knots here in the grain pop out a little bit more. All of these imperfections, they will actually stand out. They will look really good, and it will seal it up against humidity and so on, because it is basswood. Basswood is notoriously, it's like a sponge. It's really soft material. Like this is 1 millimeter basswood. Look how soft that is. Even the 5 mil basswood is very soft. So I will plan on doing that over the next week or so. I have to design the clock face for it yet, but when I get it designed. Anyone have any suggestions actually on the design of the clock face? If I know D with Tim is still working on a new logo for me, because that's part of his job. So he's working on a new logo for me. So I was going to put a logo on it, but it's not ready. So he hasn't worked on it yet. I know he's just really busy. I know he is. Oh, I never showed you this as well. I got a delivery from Tim. It's in the other room. One second. Tim, I'm very ominously sent me a message last week saying, I want to send you something. What's your address? So I sent him my address. So I got my D-Wood stickers, my first D-Wood stickers. It's cool. But he sent me these. I haven't even opened it yet, which is kind of cool. It's Saturn V. They set up 3 missions. They're memo books. So I don't even know if they're just writing books or whatever. But come on. They got a rocket on it, guys. That's cool, right? And on the back of it, actually, you have a cutout to do the crew capsule. You can pop those out and actually make a little paper crew capsule. That's kind of cool. Thank you, Tim. Thank you, sir. I haven't opened the thing yet. I don't know if I should because I don't know if it's a collector, what it is. But if it's just plain pages, I may use it. But it still looks cool as it is. So thank you, Tim. He saw it and he says, "That's space. Let's lay them all in." So he sent it to me. Anyone have any questions? Because if not, we'll probably raid over to somebody because it's 10:40 at night here, and you've seen me. You know I badly need my beauty sleep. So let's see who is on. Let me go to. Let me see. Go to raid. 1 second. I'll just make the screen a little bigger for my old eyes. There we go. Okay, Buana is on, Maker Deck is on, Chris Prillo, Astro Canuck, Brit is on. What do you guys think? Who do you want to raid? Do you want to raid over to Chris or Brit? Astro Canuck, unless you're into astronomy, Astro Canuck may not be for everybody because he's probably, if he's got clear skies, he's doing live viewing of the night sky through his telescope. Any suggestions? If not, I'll just pick somebody myself. Chances are I'll raid over to Chris because it's good. Yeah, it came out really nice. I got some good cuts out of it, which I'm happy with. I got some nice engraving out of it, which I'm happy with it. I'm going to use it to engrave this clock, which will be part of my review. I just have to design the clock test for it yet, but I will. No answers? Okay, I'm going to raid Chris then. We'll raid over to Chris. He's the only one that yeah, he's on. So guys, thank you so much. Let me get this raid set up. Give me a second. Chris Perillo. There we go. Yeah, he's on a while, so he's already live. So again, guys, thank you so much for hanging out with me. It was just demoing the laser, just doing some testing. It tested well. I'm happy with the results. And let's raid. Thank you, guys, and I will see you again tomorrow night because tomorrow night's my hangout. See you then, 7 p.m. Eastern. Take care. And I think we're done. Let's see.